Hello everybody, I'm Quentin and I thought I'd just do a very quick run through of these EOVolt 20-inch folding e-bikes. And I'm doing this, and it's not going to be a detailed review, but I'm doing this partly because we only had these for 2 days, right? So they're a new item, I'm not very experienced with them yet. But we were looking online for folding e-bikes, and there's a lot of material about several of the makes. So we looked at the MiRIDER, we looked at the eStarli, we looked at the Tern Vektron. Many of these we've also tried in real life. And they're all great bikes. There's the Brompton, of course, as well, if you've got a higher budget. But one thing we actually found very little about was these. So technically, this is the 20-inch wheel version of the EOVolt bike, which they call the Afternoon. So there's a morning, afternoon and evening. It's a French company, they choose interesting names. This is the Afternoon, and we ended up buying 2 identical ones. So the story behind this is that we thought we knew which bike we wanted. We had another one in mind. We went to a local retailer. Shout out to James here at Tech Motive in Saffron-Walden, who was very helpful. And we tried several, and we liked all of them, let's be frank. We could have happily gone away with an eStarli or a MiRIDER or various other ones as well. But in the end, we picked this after many trial cycles, and yet there's very little coverage of this, I think, online in the English-speaking world. There's probably rather more if you search for French videos, but even then, I don't think there's a lot. Now, it turns out that EOVolt is actually a reasonably substantial, well-known French firm. You can buy them in the UK in places like Halfords. I hadn't seen them. But why did we go for this? Why did we like this one rather than the others? Well, it has good points and bad points, but mostly good points. So I'll show you some of the features here. Firstly, this has good, chunky 20-inch wheels. And these are a delight to ride on. The tyres are very good. It has hydraulic disc brakes. Again, something you tend to get perhaps more on more expensive bikes like the Tern Vektron, but not so much on the budget bikes. This one actually has torque sensors rather than cadence sensors. So for those not familiar with this, this means that it detects how hard you're pedaling and provides power to match that, rather than how fast you're pedaling, which is a simpler sensor, and so the cheaper bikes tend to do it just based on cadence. This has a rear motor here, and the battery pack is stored in the seat post, which means that there's no obvious sort of bulky battery anywhere. If it weren't for the big name saying EOVolt and the odd sort of lightning flash and things on it, you might not know that this was an e-bike, which we quite like. But it's also very easy to remove the seat post here if you wanted to take your battery somewhere else to charge, or just for security reasons, or indeed if you wanted to reduce the weight, because a certain amount of the weight, of course, is the chunky battery in here, and it's very easy to take this out. It also makes it a bit more maneuverable when folded. So we were able to get both of these into the back of our Tesla Model 3 with half of the seat folded down. It's a little bit of a wiggle. The Tesla has a reasonably sized boot, but it is not a very practical one. It's not a hatchback. It has a low parcel shelf, so I was quite pleased I was able to get both of these in. But it is a lot easier, actually, if you take the seat posts out first. Hint for anyone who's trying to do this. Not because it gets very much smaller, but it just gives you more angles through which you can wiggle things, and it also makes it a bit lighter while you're maneuvering it. Okay, back to the bike then. How does this fold? Well, it folds in much the same way as most bikes of this style. Essentially, you can lower the handlebars. There's a safety latch on the front clip so that you don't fold it by accident. You unclip that, and this folds down. And you then, the order I tend to do things in is you can drop the seat post so that it rests on the ground. there. You can fold the pedals in, and then you open the safety latch here and you undo this big catch, and then the bike folds in half like that. And there's a little magnet at the back which holds these two halves together. So this is, I think it's about 21, 22 kilos, something like that. Depends a little bit on exactly which variant you have. Now, if you do see other stuff online, this is the 2023 version. I'm recording this in early 2024. We've got the 2023 version. I think there are some small changes coming for 24, but the bigger changes happened a couple of years ago. So if you see early videos or reviews of this, it had suspension on the front forks. That was the main thing. That made it a fair bit heavier, and frankly, I'm quite happy not to have that. Now you can probably see this one is a little bit wet and muddy because we've just taken it on a roundabout route which involved farm tracks and muddy lanes, but ended up at the supermarket where we managed to load up 2 panniers on this and a bag in the back of this with quite a reasonable number of groceries, and then cycled back with very little effort, zooming along pretty much unaware of the fact that we had a heavy load on the back of the bike. So that was really encouraging. Now, what else can I show you about this? Well, let me put this one back together. So I'm going to unfold it again. So unclip the magnets, bring this round, fold like that. I'll fold the handlebars up, check that the safety catch is locked there, and pull the seat post up. Now, actually, I will just show you while I'm doing this how you take the seat post out. Underneath here, the cable for the power comes out of the bottom of the seat post here and goes round to a little quick release clip, which I just have to pull out. There. And then you simply pull it up. Oh, there we go. It is a bit muddy. There's your battery pack. There's your seat post with battery pack. Yes, you can get replacement batteries, but that's quite a neat unit, actually, and probably a very good anti-theft device just to walk off and put this in your shopping basket. People are unlikely to steal a device that looks like that. So the charging point for this is in the top of the battery post here. So that's where you plug the charger in, and you can do that when it's on the bike, or if you need to take it inside or somewhere else to charge it, you can do that. The charger that we've got is a 240 volt one. They do on the website have a 12 volt one as well. And since we're hoping to carry this in our camper van, get this to about the right height for me, which is about there. Since we're hoping to carry this in our camper van, being able to charge it from a 12 volt socket as well is a very nice option. Just plug this back in. I should have done this with a clean bike, really, shouldn't I? It would look a lot more impressive, but this is a real world review. There you go, that's back in. Okay, over here we have the very small and basic display, but actually we quite like that. We like the subtlety of this little display because, again, it doesn't scream, I'm an e-bike. And you have fairly simple power assist level there, which you can change with these little arrows. Goes from 0, it's quite cyclable without any power, up to 5, which is maximum assistance. You've got a battery level, you've got the, in our case, miles per hour that you're doing here, distance you've done, and there are various other bits of information you can cycle through by pressing this button as well. So that's the display. This one has 7 speeds. So there's a Shimano, what's it called? Shimano Tournay derailleur set on the back here, and it's got a trigger and thumb catches here to switch gears. To be honest, when I first got this, and to some degree I still do think that it could be higher geared. The 7th gear is still not very high. But then I realized that it feels a bit like that because you're pedaling so easily, and you're doing 15 miles an hour. For anyone watching this from the States, here in, I think, all of Europe, but certainly in the UK, e-bikes for which you don't need a license are restricted. So you can't, they are limited to assisting you up to 15 miles an hour. You can go faster than that if you like, but you do have to pedal. And on this, if you wanted to go faster than that, you would be pedaling quite fast because the gears aren't super high. But it works very nicely. Nice little bell here. Quite like that. And it's a good solid carrier on the back. So I've just strapped an old basket onto this one, but there are various quick release type carriers that you can put onto here, and we'll be getting one of those soon, because one of the things we always need on a bicycle is a way to carry our spaniel. I'll show you our super high-tech way that we carry the spaniel. She's not here at the moment, I'm afraid. She appears in a lot of my videos, but not this one. But we have this highly sophisticated spaniel carrying mechanism, and we basically clip her in here, and she sits very comfortably. We put a little cushion in the bottom, and this is actually very good, recommended for a Cocker Spaniel sized dog. So that's how we carry spaniels on these. What else should I show you? This has a nice light on the front, powered from the main battery. Has a rather crummy little light on the back, powered by 2 tiny coin cells. So I think we're going to use this as a very much as a backup. There is underneath the carrier here, it's easy to miss, but there is a bracket for mounting a more serious rear light, so we'll be doing that very soon. You may be wondering about the security of a removable battery and seat post. Well, there is a little lock here which you can press down, and that has now locked the seat post in position, and you then can't pull it out unless you have the key. It comes with a key to unlock that. So there you are. I think this is early days for us. As I say, we've only done really one decent ride on these, but we're delighted with it, and it feels absolutely rigid, very solid, very safe to ride at speed on something with relatively small wheels, but of course much bigger wheels than, say, something like a Brompton or some of the smaller bikes. I think, does the MiRIDER have 16-inch wheels? Maybe it's a 20, it's probably a 20. But the 16-inch wheel bikes, of course, fold rather smaller, are lighter, and so on. But I think 20 inch is a pretty good compromise between foldability and rideability. And this rides very nicely. I would happily do quite a distance on this. So there you go. I hope that's useful for someone. You can find more specs obviously online, but just to give you a little bit of information about why we chose this over some of the alternatives, we just felt it rode better. We liked the torque sensors, again, which other things in this kind of price bracket don't often have. We liked the hydraulic disc brakes, and we like the rigidity. It feels like a very solid machine without actually being noticeably heavier than most of the competition. Now, in the interest of fairness, I should say that these are rather more expensive than some of the other makes I've mentioned. They are more expensive than an eStarli, they are more expensive than a MiRIDER, but I think they do give you quite a lot more, and they are still considerably cheaper than something like the Tern Vektron and certainly the electric Brompton. In fact, for the price of a Tern Vektron, you could almost buy 2 of these. So that gives you an idea. They're not budget, but they're also not expensive. They're pretty much mid-range for good quality folding e-bikes. Hope that's useful for someone. We're very pleased with our EOVolt 20-inch afternoon folding e-bikes. There you go. Thanks for watching.